So it looks like we've got you and I, Corinne, Pete Walrod, Lauren, and Sean. So first of all, I just really want to take the opportunity to thank everybody for joining us tonight. I know that it's after hours and it's dinner time, and so certainly appreciate everyone's commitment. Extension, as with everything this year, has really had a lot thrown at them between coronavirus and everything else in the world. And so this was on our board priorities over the last spring, when we wanted to look at the committees and making sure that we were utilizing our volunteer resources as best we could, and making sure that we're meeting the needs of the county. And so the board took on the initiative of looking at the way that we were structuring in the past our committees, and the need to pull out ag economic development really for its own focused group. And so again, I think most of you were on our kickoff meeting a couple of weeks ago. If you weren't, that is recorded and available. There's a good amount of information there to take a look at. But again, tonight we're going to go over a piece of that and then start to do our deep dive into what really the nuts and bolts of what this committee is going to be. So with that, Myron, if you could advance the next slide, we'll take a look at the membership and introduce everybody. We'll go through the goals, the AED plan of work, which Myron will cover, and some of the signature programs, and then our next steps. We will be looking for somebody to act as a secretary for this. For this evening, Myron and I will throw together the minutes, which really will be pretty much just this presentation and any good conversation talking points that come out of it. But as we go forward, we will be, it being a public meeting, we will want to have notes. So if anybody wants to throw their name in as the secretary, that would be helpful. And then we'll set a future meeting date and follow up with some additional resources that everybody can take a look at offline. So this is our membership. When we put together the committee, we were really hoping to get a good breadth and depth of agriculture and other industries around the county, making sure that geography as well as industries were represented. So I'm really, really excited for the diversity that we have. If there's anybody on here that has an additional person, or you think that there's a piece of the county that's not being represented, we can throw folks in as ad hoc or as needed and reach out to them either to join the committee or as a future committee member, because these memberships are just for 1 year. But we'll get to that in a minute. So I guess at this point, I just really want to introduce myself. For those that don't know me, I'm Monica Cody. My background is actually in engineering, bioengineering, product development, consumer products, pharmaceuticals, continuous improvement, cost savings. And then I left all of that about 7 years ago to join my husband on our dairy farm in Fenner. We've got about 130 milking cows, and then we're raising our 5 kids, and just, it's insanity. So that's where I'm at. I'll be leading this committee with Myron, and I'm also the current president of the board for Cooperative Extension. So as we go down, Bonnie is not on, I don't think, at this point. Myron, would you give any background for folks, just so that we know who else will be on the committee, if you have any ability to do that for the folks that are not on?
Sure. So the first one on our list is Bonnie Slocum, and she was hoping to make it tonight, and I think had something come up at the last minute. She is the executive director of the Rural Health Council for Madison County. The second one on the list, who I don't believe is here, is Corey Mosier. Corey is the immediate past board president for Cornell Cooperative Extension of Madison County, and also, of course, is part of the ownership of Mosier Farms in Hamilton. Dave Jones, I saw come in. Dave Rogers is the current president of Morrisville, SUNY Morrisville, and he is very excited about being on the committee. I know they've got a lot going on right now with just starting up their school year again. Jen Lutter is the executive director of Hamilton Community Development. And we're really excited to have her on this committee. Catherine Stager. Oh, and actually there's Corey right now coming in. Catherine Stager is the marketing person for New York Beef Council and actually is a former CCE Madison employee. Kip Hicks is the executive director of Madison County Industrial Development Agency. Nicole Tamel wanted to pass on her apology, or Catherine Stager unfortunately couldn't make it tonight due to a family emergency. Nicole Tamel is currently the head of our Central New York Dairy, Livestock, and Field Crops regional team, and unfortunately had a competing presentation that she had to do tonight, but she's very excited to be on the committee. I know Pete is here. Scott Ingmeyer is the head of the planning department at Madison County. Sean I saw come on. Steve Lorraine is the executive director of Madison County Soil and Water.
Thank you. So for the folks that are here, Corey, we're just doing introductions at this point. Would you like to just take a moment, introduce yourself to everybody? Not to put you right on the spot.
Sure, thanks, Monica. I'm Corey Mosier, Mosier Farms. I have a fruit and vegetable operation in Balkville, past CCE president, and currently on the board for Farm Bureau. I think that'll suffice, right?
Perfect. Thank you so much. Dave Jones. You're on mute.
Okay. Yeah. I'm supervisor from the town of Fenner, retired dairy farmer, do crops and some custom work right now. I guess that's, and my wife and I have a vegetable stand.
Thank you. Lauren.
Yep, I'm Lauren Lines. I am the executive director of the Casnovia Area Community Development Association.
Thank you. And Pete.
Pete Walrod, supervisor, town of Georgetown. Milk cows ran a dairy farm for 43 years. And as I sat here, I just realized that I don't know if you can see it, that's my childhood barn right there. That I didn't grow up on a farm. I went to work for a farmer when I was 12, and I started milking cows when I was a senior in high school. And I used to be able to crawl in that barn right there. But so running the maple, sold the cows in 2016, running a maple operation now with the family. I tell everybody that nobody came around back to the farm for a heyday, but everybody came for sugar, and so we went into maple harder than we were. So, but yeah, looking forward to the year, following through on the committee.
Thank you so much. And Sean. Oh, you're on mute.
Technology evades me. Sean Bossert, I manage the dairy facility at SUNY Morrisville. I'm also the current Madison County Farm Bureau president. And in the somewhat distant past, I've had a number of years of experience in cooperative extension. I was executive director of Seneca County for about 5 years, and prior to that, I was with Cuba County Extension for a period of time.
Wonderful, thank you. I don't think I've missed anybody. Corinne, I know you're on. If you want to say a hello.
Hi everyone, this is Corinne. I am battling intermittent Wi-Fi, so I'm going to stay relatively quiet here and just want to thank everyone for participating and being part of the new committee structure.
Great, thank you. Okay, so let's go to the next slide, please, Myron. Our role, and again, we covered this in that last kickoff meeting, but the idea is that annually we'll be looking at this committee to make sure that the needs of the county are met, that the needs that are for specifically ag economic development, that we can put educational programming in place and make sure that we're implementing things that are relevant because of the time and because the county has changed so fast, and as everything changes so fast. So want to make sure that we're relevant and telling the story as we go forward. Next slide. So Myron and I will tag team a little bit on this. I don't want to just read slides out to everybody, but the main objectives here is to making sure that we're hearing the voice of what those needs are in the community. And so very important to that is making sure that everybody feels heard, and that we have good discussion. So I'm, again, with a continuous improvement background, very interested in making sure that if you, through this process, see areas where we can improve or do things better or be more efficient, please don't hesitate to bring those items up. Very receptive to feedback in that regard. Let's see, what else is important that's on here? Identifying potential grants and funding sources. So as every nonprofit right now, and every for-profit really, is going through issues with funding and making sure that we've got funding going into the future. One of the big needs that we will be asking for is if you could keep an ear open to things that would be relevant for economic development that Extension could get involved in, and bringing that to our attention, that would be a huge help. Our annual fundraiser, typically we do in October. That's become an annual event. This year it's going to be a little bit different. It is kicking off here in October. We've got some swag and things that are happening. So you're on our email distributions. Again, if there's places where you feel comfortable advocating for Extension and pushing that out, we would ask you to participate in that way as well. And then again, about the stories, you know, as you hear things in the community, sharing them with us so that we can address unmet needs that we may or may not know about, and then also bringing our stories or successes that Extension is doing and advocating in that way throughout the community. And being that link between folks who need assistance and the resources that we're able to connect them with. Participation in that annual meeting, that's October 22nd. So if you haven't already received an email, you might want to check your spam folders. It should be in there. I'm pretty sure that we've gotten a few so far. You do need to register for that to participate. We're really excited that Commissioner Ball will be speaking about COVID through agricultural's, I guess, impacts through this last year. So I think it'll be an excellent topic for everybody and very relevant. So hope everybody can attend that as well. And then assisting in promoting programming and outreach, again, so we can engage folks who we may not have brought in the past. Any questions on these responsibilities? And I'll remind everybody you're on mute. So if we keep going and you want something to say, just jump on in. Myron, do you want to add anything on this one as well?
Just that I'm really excited with the opportunity to work with so many leaders in our community, and specifically this committee has a lot of representation from all over the county. So it's really hard for me to know what the needs are of every different section of the county, and this committee is going to be extremely helpful for me and for us to know what we need to be doing.
Perfect. So with that, I think, Myron, why don't I hand it over to you to go through some of the programming?
Sure. So the next slide that you'll see, and thank you so much, Monica, for getting us started, and I'll keep this relatively brief. This slide was from the kickoff meeting that we did. So those of you who were there got to see this, but it gives you a little bit of an idea of what is ag economic development from a CCE lens. And that's participating in collaborative discussion, providing guidance for what we're doing. So what is this committee trying to accomplish? Specifically on an annual State of Madison County Agricultural Report, and we'll talk about more about that in a moment, in assisting identifying and drawing in collaborators and shareholders. So it's interesting in economic development, there's a very diverse group of people that are stakeholders. And so, you know, this is an opportunity for you to help us get into areas where perhaps we haven't in the past. And some of the key projects and programs are the Agricultural Business and Entrepreneurship Center, Curbside at Cornell, Madison County Food Insecurity Assessments, grant writing for CCE programs, agricultural business guidance, Ag Appreciation Breakfast, an Ag Pitch Competition, Farmers Market Working Group. And the really big thing that this all leads back to is farmland preservation. How do we keep land in farming and in the hands of farmers rather than see it go to other uses? So that leads into what the AED plan of work is. I will be replying to everyone after this meeting with probably tomorrow once the recording uploads is ready to go. But it will include the full plan of work. This is just a real brief overview. So my priority areas in the AED position at Cornell Cooperative Extension are to assure long-term viability and well-being of Madison County agriculture. That actually represents about 2/3 of my job time. So that is to create new and existing ag opportunities, expand agricultural awareness, develop local programs to assist with farmland and farm transfers, and prevent both urban and rural sprawl. So there's a whole bunch of things that fit in under that you will see when I send the full plan of work out to you. Second priority area is help communities to see agricultural enterprises as contributing in positive elements. So this represents about 25% of the effort in AED. We're hoping here to promote agriculture to tourists in the community and elected officials. That's why this position in the AED position works a lot with Madison County Tourism, community leaders, and several elected officials. Ensure that the public understands the importance of agriculture, expanding agritourism efforts and activities, which we've actually had a whole bunch of people recently who are interested in having agritourism in Madison County, and create new and expand existing ag opportunities. The third priority area, which equals about 10% of the time of the AED in Morrisville, is to promote economically sound products and practices through cultivating knowledge, attitude, and skills. So this really comes into where the programming part of my position is. Much of the work that I do is going to be one-on-one with farmers or development agencies or legislative officials, but this is really where we get to provide programming, educating and training farmers and developing business and entrepreneurship skills that will improve farm profitability. That can be through diversification, expansion, rebranding, all sorts of different ways. Have meetings with ag support industry constituents in order to collaborate on needs and ways to improve sustainability. This committee is a perfect example of that, as we have many different ag support industry constituents included in this committee. Creating an up-to-date inventory of farms, which we're working very hard on right now, and then the Regional Navigator Program, which is really focused on keeping land in farming via succession planning and leasing, identifying non-farming landowners that have land available for farmers, and matching farmers that are interested in land with people who are interested in renting or selling their land. We also have identified several signature programs for 2021. The first of those is the Ag Business and Entrepreneurship Center. So we already have a separate committee for this, but it does fall under AED as well. Likely we will be providing reports back to this committee from the program committee, or from the project committee for the business center. We're really excited about that. It's going to be downstairs in the building. We have some major funding already for the center, so we're going to be getting started on it over the next few months. The second AED signature programming is expanding ag sales. So we tried a marketing program during COVID called Curbside at Cornell, which was a great marketing program, but we want to make it more of an action-oriented program and an opportunity to be farmer-centric, but still create a space for consumers to come by from multiple farmers at the same time, open farm day and winter market sales. The third is farmland protection. So there's a lot of different things that fit into that. The major buckets there are Regional Navigator, the opportunities for solar, and with that I'm not talking about large solar farms, but incorporating solar into planning for farms to provide their own electricity, as well as letting them understand what their options are with solar leasing, and grants and loans that keep farms in business. So we work a lot with USDA Farm Service Agency, Empire State Development, and other agencies in order to provide funding for farmers. Signature Program 4 is raising profile and importance of ag in Madison County. So one of the things that we've talked about doing with that is having an agricultural appreciation breakfast. We've done that in the past, as well as having a State of Madison County agriculture report that goes out once per year from this committee to let people in the community know where we stand today with farming and agriculture, what the plans are for the future, and how we get to those plans. And then there might be an opportunity to combine the two of them together and have something that's agricultural appreciation as well as a representation of the Madison County Agricultural Report. Thank you, Monica.
So at that point, I guess I'd like to open it back up. If you could go up 2, 3, 4 slides, I think, Myron, back to some of the events that you've done, the programs that you've run. That one, thank you. Is everybody aware of all of these? Do you have any questions about what they are, impact? And I'm really comfortable with silence because my house is always so loud. So if nobody wants to say anything, we can wait until there is a comment.
Yes, can you delve into the Madison County Food Insecurity Assessment? I'm not aware of what that is.
So that actually brings together a couple of great partners that we have. So the idea there is that we have a understanding that there is a lack of food security in Madison County and that there's a lack of places for people to go for food. In order to be an actual food desert, there's very specific rules that have to be followed, but Bonnie Slocum at Rural Health came to us about a year ago and offered to partner with us on this. And actually we've contracted with Lauren Lyons to provide some of the grant writing. Cortland County has done one of these where it really identifies what the needs are in the community for food, what type of food, where it comes from, how food moves around, what the economic impact is of what is done in agriculture and food sales in the county. And there are some grants out there through the USDA that would pay for us to do a full assessment. I had a summer fellow, summer intern, Rachel Lyons this summer, who did a really good job of getting all of the initial research together so that we can put these grant applications in. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Myron, are there any highlights that came out of that as you describe the county and the demographics and the geographies where there is limited access and a high need?
Yeah, so as you would almost certainly imagine, places like Cazenovia and Hamilton were not on the list of food insecure areas of the county. But once you get outside of those two metropolitan centers, and one of the things that was really interesting is there's a huge need for low-cost, high-quality food in Oneida, which wouldn't have been something that I would have originally thought would come out of the research. But in that area, that part of the county, there is not as much fresh food available as you would think. And there's limited number of grocery stores and some of that other kind of stuff. So that was an area where we really saw that pop up. And then the areas that you would certainly imagine, such as Munnsville, Eaton, and other outlying areas, that there's not any close by food. So one of the other projects that came out of this was a food map. So Rachel put together a really neat Google map that includes all of the farms that we could find online in the area that we will be promoting further as we move forward to let people know where their local options are for food.
Thank you. And was that done just in Madison County, or was that done in partnership with Oneida County or anything surrounding?
So at this point, it's just in Madison County. We are working with Cortland County to better understand how they received the USDA grant in order to put the full assessment together. But yeah, I think this is something that could be certainly shared with several counties around us. At this point, we are just looking at Madison County though.
Thank you. Anything else?
One more on the food insecurity. What about the food bank of Central New York? conversations. What do they have in their arsenal as far as enlighten on what the situation is?
Corey, I'm sure that they would have some information to share. We have not reached out to them as of yet for the project, but yeah, that would definitely be another step in the
If I can throw something in on that one, I have it in there now. My wife works for the food bank now, so she commutes to Syracuse every day. They have had her working on a ArcGIS mapping program for their complete region. So they're collecting a rather significant number of data sets and trying to merge them into a mapping feature. It should be a really neat product at the end of the day that I would think that folks could be able to get their hands on and look at.
That would be amazing, Sean. I will share that with Bonnie as well, because I know Bonnie Slocum will be excited that we have another data point.
I just have one more comment because I remember having conversations about this with Bonnie over a year ago, and how much this ties into transportation. From Brookfield to Georgetown, imagine as the local grocery stores have really gone out, and now you're hopefully getting one trip to those that can't. They're going to Walmart to get all their shopping needs or something like that. And it really ties into a lot of the transportation issues that we have in the county. And just thought I'd kind of make that comment because it's a problem that we like to solve for a bevy of different reasons, healthcare and everything like that. So.
That's a great point. Myron, is there a plan to share this with, I'm thinking of like the planning department, Pete, Dave Jones, things at the county where at a county level, when we look at all of the big plans that are going on, would this be useful to bring back to them if it hasn't already?
Absolutely. So, what we have right now, though Rachel did an amazing job, is really our preliminary steps done, which was awesome because it's a ton of work. What we'll be doing now is preparing for the grant, which is really digging into some other data sources and some of that kind of stuff. So yes, we will continue to share that information as it comes available.
Great. Anything else?
So this is Corinne. I will jump in and share that I did maybe an hour ago hit submit on a new community foundation grant for moving our curbside at Cornell marketing program to a pickup drop-off e-platform sales opportunity out of our association. And in conversations with the planning department, part of the discussion was if we could ramp that up enough along with the Wednesday market, the potential to add a bus stop at our CCE offices to allow some additional accessibility.
That would be amazing. Good luck. That's a promising one.
Yes, we will take any calls to the grant gods that people would like to offer up. But certainly one of the things that we have learned is that our farmers our direct sale farmers could really use some additional assistance in learning how to do e-commerce, and that the COVID has dramatically changed consumer buying patterns in a way that's expected to stick in terms of online shopping and curbside pickup. So the more we can do to help our farmers utilize that in a very efficient way for them, the better it will be for our farms and farm sustainability.
Is that a state grant or is it federal?
That is a Central New York Community Foundation grant.
Corey, were you referencing the larger grant on the food insecurity assessment?
No, just the one Corinne was just talking about. I was, trying to make some connection points if you need, endorsements of the like, just trying to kind of understand the breadth of it.
Great. Thanks, Corey. One of the things we're obviously very excited about is having a signature programming that launches and brings in the Shabani launch for our Ag Economic Development Center, and the potential to have folks have ideas to implementation that also lets them tie into a curbside at Cornell program, which would allow direct sales and pickup using an online model. And on that note, Pete, I have to tell you that I am digging out my last dregs of my maple cream. So I am soon to be heading to your area before I don't have my morning fix on my bagel.
We can deliver. We're on the way to Wamsville 2 or 3 or 4 times a month. So yeah,
Thanks, Pete. It
actually
is.
that has, you know, on a note on that, we haven't been doing anything outside the sugar house, but as far as marketing, but it has I think it's probably the best year we've had as far as local, without a pancake breakfast, but just driving, you know, customers driving through and picking up product. It's gone very well.
Great. Well, certainly COVID has also increased the desire to shop local. Trusting folks wanting to shop local and do all those things. And so between the food map, our curbside at Cornell marketing program, and now if we can get a full slate program in, it just brings it full circle and makes it easier for farmers to sell their product and consumers to get it in their hands.
Yes.
So just a time check, we're at 7:05. If there's nothing else on these signature programs, key program areas, why don't we head back to our next step slides, Myron, and talk about kind of the rest of this year and what I think we're looking at 3 more meetings in total over the next 12 months. So we're looking for finding a time come December, early December, possibly, to get together again, and what that meeting would look like. Would you like to comment a little bit on that, Myron, about the roundtable?
Sure. So, you know, one of the things that we really want to have for all of our committees is a project that you can look back on and say, okay, that is what we accomplished for the year. There's a lot of other things that this committee will be helpful with and helping steer our programming and so many other things. But also, you know, you want to have an endpoint each year. And so one of the things that we talked about is doing some sort of an event to promote our State of Madison County Agricultural Report and do agricultural appreciation. What that might look like, both what the State of Madison County Ag Report is going to look like and what an agricultural appreciation breakfast might look like, is really open to this committee to decide on what everyone feels like would be successful. I've had the opportunity in my past to put on a lot of different types of events, so it doesn't necessarily matter what everybody feels like is the best one, as long as we're all behind it, and then it will give us an opportunity to really be deliberate about sponsorships and all that kind of stuff as we head into 2021.
So for our next meeting, the idea is that our agenda would be kind of the roundtable discussion for what this Ag Appreciation event would look like. Is that what you're thinking as well? I can't remember.
Yeah, what we were thinking potentially, what we had talked about was have an hour meeting, give or take, and half of it would be discussing the State of Madison County Agricultural Report and what everyone would like to see included in that. And then the other half would be talking about some sort of a agricultural appreciation breakfast or dinner next summer.
Okay, thank you. So I guess I'd like to do a round table real quick with everybody that's on tonight. If you could think off the top of your head, you know, first thing that comes into your minds, what do you think the biggest opportunity is for ag economic development in Madison County, and what do you think the biggest risk to success is? I think that would help me get in the right frame of mind as we look towards a December meeting and kind of thinking about the state of Madison County. So I apologize for putting anybody on the spot. I'm going rogue here, Myron, I'm sorry. But Lauren, do you have something that you'd like to put in as an initial thought?
So are you asking for a priority for economic development? I'm not sure exactly what you're asking.
I'm thinking of if we look at ag economic development in Madison County, do you see any immediate, knee-jerk area where there would be an opportunity or a major risk to success for the future?
Okay, I think it just comes to mind because I'm involved with the state farmland protection program. So I think that it's often an underutilized resource. In Casanova, we have been pretty assertive with it, but it's something that requires a lot of advanced planning. And so when the grant opportunity comes up, if you haven't already figured out a plan, it's sort of too late. So I think that Corinne and I have talked a little bit about it for, thinking on a county-wide basis, where are those parcels that are threatened by development and where protection needs to go. And I know the county has done some work, but there's a lot of potential. If the state ever has any more money to spend, then that I think there's a lot of potential there.
Great, thank you. I'm just gonna go down my screen here. Pete Walrod, any risks or opportunities that you see?
Yeah, plenty of risks. I don't really have anything that I can think of as a opportunity that hasn't been explored. I think actually Corey and I touched on this a little bit on at the nominating committee about, there was a talk just talking about hemp in general and how quickly and how successfully farmers are at production. And, Corey talked about the parallels with the hop industry, how quickly you can flood a market. And so, I've seen the same parallels with maple. So, as far as an opportunity, I sure can't put a finger on it. I don't know. I don't really have an answer for that, I guess, Monica, I apologize, but.
No, don't. I think that's, you bring up the really great point that farmers are farmers because they're good at farming, right?
Yeah.
And I think, we don't necessarily appreciate that in and of itself. And so when you have that opportunity, you flood the market immediately. It's a really excellent point.
We know some successful operations that have gone to the, tried to retail. We work with Trinity Valley over there to Cortland, real successful dairy farm that's tried to guide their own success. And with the mazes, it's no new thoughts into it, but they're marketing milk through that. That's their basis is their milk production and processing their own milk. And it's very successful and it's a wonderful product. I don't see that in Madison County that I know of. I know Crimehold and some of those are doing some of that, but not a fluid as Trinity Valley is. But, they've got a truck on the road. They're delivering now. It's, I think that's as bright a spot as in a small, relatively small dairy, 100, I think milking 125 or 130 cows. So, I don't know. I wish I'll give it some thought. I've got farm neighbors here that they don't know what to do. They're at a crisis and, where to go. And with this, but they want to stay in ag, but, dairying isn't doing it. So, I know we had that very successful with CCE, the woodland informational program. And I think that, whether that can be, again, expounded on, to help out, I'm not sure, but, there is a tremendous amount of woods in Madison County, forestry, how we can work that into some profit for farm owners is, and keep that farmland viable, so.
I can echo what you've said, especially with the dairy industry and the nightly conversations of why are we really doing this. And so here is a plug to share with some of your neighbors. Nicole Tomel will be presenting next Wednesday, I believe, and Dave Balbian about demystifying the milk check and how we really get our fluid milk price, and what all of the things that are coming out because of transportation or COVID or everything, how it's all getting calculated and where our milk check off money goes. So, if you've got folks who are having the same conversations we're having every night, it might be worthwhile spreading that as a good, webinar for them to log into.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. John Bozzer, do you have anything?
Yeah, I think it would probably fall into both categories of risk and opportunity, I suppose. I was sitting on a small group in Hamilton looking at the dairy model, right? And they were kind of evaluating the Hudson Valley model. One of the problems that I had just listening in at it is as our population base just isn't quite dense enough for me to see it working as well as it does down there. What a lot of, and I've seen a lot of things happen over the years in terms of setting up direct marketing to consumer type things. And there is a huge interest developing because of COVID, buying local products. And to me, one of the biggest roadblocks to making it successful is distribution, transportation and distribution. And nobody that I know of has really been able to crack that nut when you get into the rural areas. And boy, I think there's opportunity there somewhere, just as much as there is risk. But to me, that's something that could be potentially focused on going down the road.
Great, thank you. Dave Jones, do you have anything you comes to top of your mind?
Yeah, I think, Monica, expand on what Pete said. I think we do have a lot of diversification in the county, and there's some things there, Pete, like you were saying about the forestry and whatever. I think we could, as farmers, I know you've probably done a lot better job than a lot of people with that, but it's something that I believe that trees are a crop. So if we could get some of that, and there again, to expand on what Sean just said too, with direct marketing and whatever. I think there's some opportunity there, hopefully, that we need to look at. And I think one of the risks is housing and there again, the renewable energy aspect that taken over, farmland. So those are some of the risk. And there again, Monica, I know you've done a lot of work on, educating people on, and I know Pete has, and Pete and Kathy and Lynn and I have educating people on what agriculture is. It isn't bad by any means. So I think there's a lot of things to be said out there. So.
Thank you. Corey, anything you would add in?
Yeah, Monica, go ahead and, if you would, just kind of restate exactly what you said to start this off, would you?
You start the question, round
Yeah.
table?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. So if you think about, your knee-jerk, top of mind, two categories, ag economic development, what do you think the existing current risk, the biggest risk is to success of ag economic development in Madison County, and what's the greatest opportunity that we might be facing?
Yeah, so I'm gonna sound like a broken record, right, with what Dave just said. Sorry to piggyback off you, Dave. Riding your coattails, but that education piece I think is critical. I think of Open Farm Day, right, and we're kind of talking about ag appreciation a little bit on this, and that's a big part for me why I like Open Farm Day so much, is because it's got that really strong ag educational element to it, and then that appreciation for farmers, you can kind of, it's palpable. It kind of stems from that if people learn about our operations in Madison County. So I we've always and want to build on that, right? I think that education piece is so key, and You know, it's something we're going to be, I've been talking for the last 10 years. We're going to be talking for the next 50 about really cracking that nut, educating the public on what we do as farmers. You know, and then I guess the biggest risk that I would see would be, you know, we're all kind of trying to figure this out and take advantage of opportunities as we see them come. I mean, the dynamicness of this in agriculture right now, we've got huge disruptions. I mean, you can look even before this year hit what disruptions we had in agriculture. So there's a lot of unknowns and a lot of risk just inherent with what we're trying to do as farmers today. And I think we need to voice that to how unstable things are and the trouble that we're going to have going forward as people don't understand the risk that is involved, margins that we deal with in that law.
So it's really interesting. What you just said made me think that, you know, the word appreciation in and of itself really has several meanings, right? One is that we appreciate our farmers because they give us food. But the second piece of that is really to have an appreciation for the amount of work and the risk and the acumen that is required to be successful at farming. So that's great. Thank you all for the feedback. But I for that one point alone, it's going to make me at least think about our next roundtable discussion about how you create an event about ag appreciation differently. So really, really value everybody's feedback and putting you on the spot for that. So the upcoming event, we do have a farmer fund appreciation fundraiser that's ongoing. Corinne or Myron, do you have any details around it? Because it's escaping me at this point. You're both on mute. There you go.
So I don't know if Corinne's going to jump in or not. I know she had to check out here at the end. So what we're looking at this point is a couple of different things. We were originally going to obviously do a Celebrate Madison type event like we did last year, and that's not realistic this year. So we're thinking a basket raffle of some kind, as well as a fundraising letter, an outreach that way, since we're having to do everything online.
And you'll be sending out that info shortly?
Yeah, I believe Tess is pretty well done with planning for it. So we'll be sharing that as soon as it's ready.
Okay, and then the same with the Movember.
So I can tell you a lot more about that because I've actually
Okay.
been working quite a bit on that, and it's going to be hopefully a lot of fun and a small fundraiser as well. So working with another intern, I have one intern that I'm working with on the Ag Business Center, and then one on Movember who's from Cass College. It's going to be encouraging activity throughout the month. So Rural Health has actually partnered with us on the community campaign, which we're going to have be 20 minutes a day of some sort of activity. So we're going to have a bunch of 1 mile routes around the county that you can walk, 20 minutes of yoga, all sorts of ideas like that. And everybody that signs up, it'll be $20 a person, and you get a free t-shirt and a sticker. And then if you finish whatever it is, 20 minutes of activity a day for the month, you get a little wooden medal that we're going to be making up that I actually got as an idea from a race that I participated in. There's going to be a division for runners because I'm going to market that to my friends, see if we can't get a few people to run 100 miles in the month of November. Again, they get a t-shirt, a sticker, and a and they also, for the community campaign, Rural Health will be providing a couple of gift baskets. For the runners one, they get a medal, the wooden medal, and a t-shirt and a sticker. And then we're going to have an equine division this year, which will include 7 miles of riding throughout the month of November. And they get a discount coupon to, Corinne could tell you where, it's a very famous horse place, but I don't know horses. So they get a discount coupon to a horse place, and they also get the same stuff as everybody else does.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, I can't remember what the next slide is, I'm sorry. I think that was it. Okay, perfect. So our final next step is just to pick a date for our next meeting. I don't know if we can do that now, if everybody has their calendars available. We were looking at the first week of December. Or if it seems too late and too hard to do that, then we can send out a doodle poll. Does anybody have a preference one way or the other? I think we were looking at Thursday, the 2nd or 3rd.
It'd be the 3rd, Monica, Thursday.
The 3rd. Does anybody have a real issue with that, like 6 o'clock time frame again? Thumbs up. Thumbs up. Okay, perfect. So we'll go with our next meeting, 12/3 at 6 p.m. And we'll try to keep it to an hour, but we'll schedule an hour and a half just to just in case the conversation goes wild. So with that, if there anything else, Myron or Corinne, that you'd like to add in, I did want to make sure that everybody's got this listing of websites and resources available as you start to dig into the current state of agriculture. These are things that we'll probably want to be aware of, that they at least exist, if not breeze through them at your leisure when you need something to make you fall asleep at night. All right. So Myron, anything else?
Just wanted to thank everybody, and thank you so much, Monica, for putting this together. I'm really excited about this committee, and I will send an email out tomorrow with a recording of this, as well as the AED plan of work and the slideshow, so that you can use these links and everything else.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, everybody. I know it was a lot of Myron and I talking tonight, and that's not how we want the rest of this to go. So again, feel free to reach out to me or Myron offline if you've got ideas, things that we want to cover next time around, areas for improvement, just anything. It's an open email policy, I guess we'll call it. So with that, we'll just say good night and thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Monica.
Yep,
Wonderful
thank you.
night.
Myron. Yep.